Hi there, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 344. I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, and today is Monday, August 24th. How are you? I was not planning to record today because I wasn't even supposed to be home today. If you remember on my last episode, I mentioned that I probably would not be recording again until after Bill and I got back from our motorcycle trip, which was supposed to have commenced this past Saturday. And indeed, it did begin for him. He's out there riding now. I, however, did not go because the weekend prior to our departure, I got sick. That was how that worked out, but it was clear like by Thursday there was no way I was going to be leaving on Saturday to go on this motorcycle trip. So we reconfigured all the bikes, both of the bikes, and Bill like repacked just the stuff that he would need to go by himself, and then my bike has just the stuff that I'll need, because the plan is at this point in time, and I think it's going to work out, I'm going to leave on Wednesday and I'm going to meet him at the halfway point on this ride. So, yeah. So I'll still get to go. I'll still get to have half the fun, although the first half of the trail is definitely the more scenic and more maybe challenging, I think. But I think it'll still be fun. It'll be nice to get away. Although I gotta tell you, the prospect of 9 days in a backcountry trail ride on dirt roads and gravel and sleeping on the ground all that time and eating freeze-dried camp food when my stomach hasn't been feeling great, you know, that prospect really didn't seem very palatable the whole time I was sick. And frankly, right now, I'm kind of glad that it won't be 9 days for me. It'll only be like 4.5. I'm okay with that. And honestly, there's been some perks non-related to my health of me not having gone, because one, last week I was useless. I got very little work done. I had that shop update on Saturday though, and it was huge, and thank you for that. It took me several days to get the shipping out, and I apologize that it did go out a little later than it normally would, but I just couldn't move any faster. So hopefully that's okay with you guys and you understand. I got behind on dyeing. I had a bunch of special orders, and the last remaining first half of the year monthly makes prize skeins that I was planning to get dyed and shipped out last week. I didn't get any of it done because I couldn't stand that long to be in the studio. And then I recently got a really pretty big wholesale order in that has a pretty fast turnaround time, early September. I had it all scheduled out, you know, what I needed to get done before the trip, what I would need to do as soon as I got home in order to get this filled, and I got behind on that, and there was like, I was panicking. So I think at that point, whatever was going on with me physically was being compounded by stress, knowing how behind I was getting on work, and that was not helpful. Don't ever doubt that stress can affect your health, because I know that had something to do with it. So anyway, all that to say, here I am. I'm at home. I mean, Emma's here, but like I'm basically home by myself most of the time because she's, you know, working. And so I've been able to get so much done. He left Saturday, so he's been gone Saturday, Sunday. Today's his third day riding. And I just feel so good about, I'm feeling much, much better. I would say I'm back to like 95% at this point. I have moments in the day where I just feel really tired, but mostly I feel fine. All the crazy symptoms seem to have gone away, so that's a good thing. But anyway, yeah, I thought I would take a few minutes now and record an episode, because my original plan was to record early September, but because I am going to be still trying to play catch up with all this stuff, especially for that wholesale order. I'm probably going to be getting home from that trip and just like putting my head down and working and not doing much of anything else. So the first episode of September will be a little late, probably. So like prize announcements for monthly makes will be a little bit late. But other than that, I think it'll be fine. You just won't hear from me a little while. Okay, so that was a whole lot of chat about me. Hope you guys are doing well. Those of you in California who are dealing with fires, oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you. I hope you're safe. Please stay safe. I hope you have minimal damage. Those of you in the south who have hurricanes coming at you, likewise, please stay safe. Let's move on to the knitting, shall we? I do have a bunch of finished objects to show you. The majority of them are not knitting related, though. A lot of them are the things I was making for Emma for her birthday, which that, oddly enough, was also kind of stressful because I was trying to get all these projects done for her, and then she ended up having 3 days in a row off work right before her birthday. Like the weekend before her birthday. I'm like, seriously? Your birthday's on Tuesday, you're home Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Like, how? How am I supposed to do anything? So I was really stressed about that, and I put in a lot of late nights trying to get stuff done. So I'm sure that did not help either while I was sick. So whatever. Anyway, or while I was getting sick. But I've got a lot of things to show you. So I'm going to do that. I do have a couple projects. Actually, they're new projects. I have everything sitting on a table over here. And I know this is a weird setup. I'm in the porch room. I was going to record outside, but it started to pour down rain. There was no rain in the forecast for today at all. It was supposed to be cloudy, overcast. It would have been perfect, but no, it rained. So I'm in here, but I'm at this angle where these are our French doors going out to the rest of the house, which is why you're seeing all these reflections. But if I had it any other angle, you would be seeing what a hot mess this room is with all of my husband's work stuff and my stuff piled up to get out of the way of his work stuff. So this is really the best thing for all of us, honest. And this, in case you're wondering, this is a cane. It's a glass cane. I have no idea where Bill got it, but it's been here longer than I have, and it just hangs there. It's sort of weird, but whatever. Okay, let's get into the knitting now. All right, finished objects. The first one, which will look a little familiar to you, is another one of my funky fringy cows. I did, the pattern I will say is out with test knitters right now. It took me a little while to get it out. Not only because I was sick, but also because I was adding on like options and customizations, and then I needed to send it back to my tech editor before I sent it out. But anyway, one of the options that I added was a fingering weight held double version, and that's what this is. This was my prototype, and I literally just pulled out of my fingering weight scrap bin randomly. That's why it's just super crazy. Now I will tell you, whenever you do this, okay, so fingering weight held double is about a DK weight gauge, and nothing else about the pattern is different if you choose this option. Same needle size, same stitch count, everything. It's just you're holding two fingering weight yarns double. When you do this version though, you don't really end up with much of a clean side. I mean, I guess this was maybe the cleaner side and this was more of the mixed up side. But they both, depending on what yarns you're using and holding together, if they're not the same color, it's gonna just look kind of wackadoodle. But I kind of like that. That's sort of what I like about it. So anyway, this one I did the fingering weight held double, but I also added a double the fringe, double the fun option, where instead of cutting your yarn just after every garter row, you're actually cutting it after every round. So you're cutting it when you're doing your wrap and turn, and then you're also cutting it at the end of that garter ridge. So you get double the amount of ends, so it gives you a much fuller fringe, which I think is awesome. And because I did this with the fingering weight held double, I have even double the double fringe. So double. Anyway, I did not put a button closure on this one, mostly because I was lazy and just didn't. And I mainly just wanted to try it out with the double yarn. So anyway, that is that version. And then the other option I added to the pattern was to do a double length version, which you can incorporate the fingering weight held double to that. You can do the double the fringe part for that. So there's a lot of mix and match options in that pattern. Like I said, it is out to test knitters right now. If you would still like to test knit it and you haven't let me know, and I can get it out to you. The turnaround time I think is like mid-September is the date that I gave, like around the 18th maybe. It does not take long to make. And you need about 231 yards of DK weight yarn, you know, any number of skeins you want to use, bits of yarn. Again, this is perfect for leftovers. And for fingering weight, you would need, this took about 400 yards, I would say 400, 420. I used different fingering weight yarns, so but about 100 grams of fingering weight. And then if you're going to do the length version, you'll need double those amounts. So anyway, that is one more fringy cowl done. All of my other FOs are birthday gift related for my daughter. So let's do those next. The first one is the crocheted top that I told you I was going to make. It turned out so cute. I'm going to just hold it up. It obviously isn't going to do it justice. I will try to remember to insert a picture here of her wearing it. But here it is. It's the Mehndi Halter top by Regina Weiss. She also designed that other top that I made Emma a while back. I just think it's super cute. I used Berroco Remix, which I've never used before. I really like it. I used to love Berroco yarns. I haven't used it much in recent years, but I would definitely knit with this again. I think it's really pretty. It's got a bunch of different fibers in it. Okay, what does it have in it? They're all recycled fibers. I will have to put that in the show notes because I don't have it in here with me and I don't have any of the tags nearby. But just really neat. A really neat yarn. It was very comfortable to work with, and so I used these two different colors, which again, I don't have the numbers here, I'm sorry. But this red and then the gold. The pattern is not written to have this contrast bit up here. I added that based on some pictures I saw on Ravelry of other people having done that. Now I will say, this didn't take me super long to make. I think I did it in about 2 days. But I did get a little goofed up down here. This is not as written. I have way more of these scallops than I should have. And I'm not sure why, because you do them based off of these bits, which I'm almost positive I got the right number. I know I had the right number on that bottom row of the red, because that was where I started. I don't know how I ended up with too many of these. I ripped it out once and redid it, because I did have to modify it. I eliminated 2 double crochets from either side of there's treble crochets in the middle, and then there was a bunch of double crochets on either side. I had to eliminate one from either side of that just because it was so full and it was just puckering and doing this weird thing. So I eliminated those, and that worked a little better. And then, so I got through that, but once I did it the second time and I realized I still had more than I was supposed to have, I thought, I don't care. Moving on. So then I moved on to this little pom-pom fringy thing. Oh my gosh, these were so much fun to make. I hate knitting baubles, but these little crocheted pom-poms were a hoot to make. I really enjoyed making them. And I think the next time I have to do something that has baubles, which isn't very often, I might try to use these instead of knitted baubles. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I did this and finished it. I was happy with it. And then the next day I decided I had to block it. So I had it laying out, and as soon as I laid it out after it had soaked, I realized I had 2 glaring errors. One was in one place, I think it was over here. I fixed it really well. Like, you can't really even see where I had to fix it. I think it was this one though, maybe. I forgot to do the bobble, and I did the chain and just chained over to the next thing. So there was a gap in the bobbles. There was just like that little chain loop going to the next scallop. So that was wrong. So I had to surgically implant a bobble on a chain to make that work right. And I was able to do that. It worked out fine. And the other thing I had goofed on is I forgot to do this last bobble here. Coming off that dangles by itself. There's one at the beginning, and I didn't do the one on the end. So that was the only thing I did wrong, other than whatever I did wrong to get my stitch count off, or to get too many scallops. But it looks so cute on her, and it was really fun to make. You know, it's obviously not a top I'm going to be wearing, but for her, she's so tiny and she can pull this stuff off, and she's young. So anyway, that is the Mehndi Halter top by Regina Weiss. I used a D hook. It called for an E. I didn't have an E. I finally just bought a bunch of crochet hooks because I have a bunch, but they're all the same sizes. Like, I have a D, and my D is that wooden one that I love, and I've been so afraid that I was going to like break it accidentally. So I actually ordered some more of that kind of needle, the wooden needles. I ordered them from a shop out in Flagstaff, I think, Pearl in the Pines. She had them in stock, so I ordered another D and then a few other sizes. And then in the meantime, I had also picked up just this cheapy metal set of crochet hooks from Walmart one day. I think, like, you know, Susan Bates kind of stuff, which is fine because I don't mind knitting with the metal hooks or crocheting with metal hooks. Anyway, so that was that. So then let's move on. The next thing is the rune project. So I showed you the runes originally, but here's what I ended up making to put the runes in. I made a little pouch. And it turned out so cute. You may recognize this fabric as some of the fabric that I wove using my holiday minis that my fiber minis that I had dyed up a couple years ago and then spun last year. This is a piece from that, and I decided to use that for the bag, and I sewed it together. I mean, it was narrow, so it wasn't going to be a big pouch anyway, and I sewed it to this piece of wool felt that I bought at Rhinebeck last year. I bought a whole bunch of different colors of that because I had grand plans that I was going to do like applique kind of stuff with that, and wool thread and embroidery, and I haven't really done that much. I haven't done any of that except what I did on this pouch, but it was the perfect color to put together for this pouch, and so they were also small pieces, so the gold part is fairly small on top. But then I left the fringe from the weaving, so that was my, you know, my warp, and I cut it kind of on a diagonal just to give it some character. And then I did take some of my wool thread and just put some crazy little flowers up there. And then the cord is actually leftover a red from her top that I just chained, like a long chain, 2 long chains, and threaded them through in opposite directions to pull them. So anyway, all the runes are in the bag. She loved this. Oh my gosh. And that she didn't realize at first, like every time she realized that something about this was something I actually made, that I actually made the bag. And then she realized, oh, you actually wove the fabric for the bag? Yes. She was like, she loved it even more. And that was so satisfying. It's so satisfying to give somebody a gift for them to really, really appreciate the fact that you made it, you know? I phrased her well. Anyway, here's all the little runes, which I showed you those before. But then I mentioned to you, I thought, well, I need to give her something that tells her something about each of the runes. So I went down this rabbit hole, and I ended up making these cards, sort of like her own little rune deck. And these are all backwards. So that's the first one. So pulled out my scrapbooking supplies, got them involved here. So I have that, and then I hand wrote out like each of the runes and what they stand for, their meaning, what tree is associated with them, and a summary of what they symbolize and everything. And I did that for all 24 of them. And then a couple of the cards have just information about the history of runes and all that. It was really fun. But then I needed something to put the cards in because I didn't want to just leave them loose. So I crocheted a little pouch. That I also used some of the leftover gold yarn from her top. And I didn't have a pattern for this. I just winged it. I'm getting a little confident here with my crochet if I can just start winging these patterns. So this is just all single crochet, and did it so that it would fit the pouch. I started at the bottom, just worked around, did some increases to make it a little bit wider, worked up until I got them tall enough, and then I just worked on half of it and decreased to the point here and made a little chain loop to go around the button, and voila, pouch. And pouch goes in the bag, pouch goes in the pouch, and that's it. So that turned into a much bigger project than I had originally intended it to be, but it was so much fun to do. Plus, I learned a lot about runes while I was doing all this. That was kind of fascinating. I love learning stuff about that. So anyway, that is the rune project. Then I did finish the quilt. It's not perfect. And if you're an actual quilting person who knows quilting, please, I don't need negativity. Because there's a lot of mistakes in this. But I am thrilled with how it turned out. I love it. She loved it. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Which way does it go? Not that it really matters, probably for you guys. I'm going to stand back to hold it up for you. Look at it. I did the reverse applique. Remember when I said, oh, there's no way I'm doing that because I've never done that and I can't do that on this project? I did it because you knew I was going to do it, right? Yeah. Okay, so moon phases. I think I'm holding this the wrong way. Let's see. Yeah, it's all wackadoodle. I don't have them going in any correct order. This is actually the full moon, and then the waxing crescent moon, waxing half moon, waxing gibbous moon, waning, waning, waning. It's going counterclockwise, and it should be going the other way, but I had a reason for doing it this way. Anyway, so all I ended up doing was I sewed, strips together of these colored blocks. Where I knew I was going to be doing the applique, I doubled the blocks and put those other colors in there. Okay, I need to get closer to you again now. Sorry. So that I knew I could cut away and do that. And then I sewed the strips together, and then I pinned it to the batting and the backing. Now I'm going to show you the back in a minute. And then I found in my mom's bag of lap quilting stuff that she gave me years ago, she had a really, really sturdy plastic hoop that had like a really aggressive thumb screw kind of thing on it to secure it. It was perfect for this because I didn't have anything else that would have worked as well. So I was really glad I remembered I had that bag of stuff and found that. So anyway, then I just used, I had a circle that I had cut out of cardboard, and I was just drawing it on, like tracing it with that white tracing pencil kind of thing for sewing. And I was just sort of winging the different shapes by moving the circle over, using a straight edge for the half moon kind of things or whatever. And then I stitched using the metallic thread that I told you I got. I decided to use silver so that it would stand out better than using the gold. And I found that I had to do a double round. So that's what I did. Now, I purposely, like the stitches are not even, but I didn't want them to be even. I wanted them to be staggered and big and small, so that it sort of had like a tracing kind of look to it. And I'm really happy with the effect that I got from that. But I don't know if you can tell. There's like a double path of stitching. So I did all of that by hand. And that's the only quilting I did on it, was those 7 moon shapes, except for up here where these 4 blocks join, and down here where these 4 blocks join, because they were the only ones that didn't have moons on them, and so there was nothing holding that together. So I just put these those little stitches in there just as something to hold it together. It's not like this is going to it's not a blanket, and it's not going to get thrown in the wash very often. Anyway, when I did the first moon shape, I was going, it was going great, and then I looked at the back and I thought, I'm doing this completely wrong, because I have hand quilted before, and you know, you're supposed to do that up and down and up and down and up and down. I wasn't. I was going, you know, up and down, and then I was going like back and in and back and in, and so this is what the back looks like. Now, I will say, I think it looks kind of cool. It's sort of crazy, and it sort of reminds me of like the path of a sparkler, you know, because it's got all the crazy ends. I had to work with really short pieces of that metallic thread because it's really fussy and wanted to kink up and knot. So I couldn't work with very long pieces. So there are a lot of ends, but this is what the back looks like. It's definitely not right, but you know what? I don't care. I think it looks neat. She likes the whole thing. She was thrilled with this. And when I started talking about, oh, well, I decided to do this, she's like, you made this? Every time she said that, it just made me laugh. So she was impressed that I made that. So I'm so happy with how this turned out. And it was funny because when I was first done with it, I'm like, now I need to quilt all the things. Yeah, like that's going to happen. The only other thing that this involved, obviously, was binding. And that's where I remembered, oh yeah, this is why I don't like to quilt, because I suck at binding. Oh my gosh. The binding that I made, I did make my own binding. Bias binding. I did it wrong. I mean, I did it right, but it wasn't really right for this project. I can't explain it. I couldn't do mitered corners, and I gave up. And at that point, I was doing this on her birthday. She was at work that day. I was finishing this up. I was sick because that was Tuesday, and I felt horrible, but I had to get this finished. And it's a hot mess. There's so many mistakes in this binding. There are no mitered corners. The corners are messy. I just could not wrap my head around the mitered corners or about putting the binding together correctly. I just couldn't do it. So it's like that, and I don't care. It fits the table perfectly, and she keeps putting things out on it in certain places. She loves it. So that's all that's important. All right, next project, actually last project for her birthday. And this was, I had the idea, I just wasn't sure how I was going to make it work. I wanted to make her a spell jar necklace. I'd seen these and I thought, oh, that would be kind of cool, and she likes this kind of stuff. So I found these little jars at, I don't know, I think Joanns maybe, or Walmart. And so I found these jars, and I have tons of beading supplies because I, you know, for a hot minute was into making jewelry. You know how that is, right? So I had all the other supplies. But anyway, so I put in here some chamomile flowers from her chamomile plants, and some little lavender buds. This isn't gonna, yeah, well, anyway. Lavender buds, and then there's a little chip of amethyst in there. We have this huge bucket of little tiny pieces of rock, of gems and stuff that my husband had. And so I find this little tiny piece of amethyst, and I put it in there. And then I did the beading. So anyway, the chamomile is for rest and relaxation. The lavender is for calmness, and the amethyst is for peace. So anyway, she loved that too. It was fun. She's been wearing it. She willingly left it home today so I could show you guys. So those were all the birthday things, and I gotta tell you, I'm super impressed that I managed to get those all done. Gotta be honest. But I did, and it made her very, very happy, and yeah, I you know, you just love making your kids happy sometimes, right? And I think part of my enthusiasm for making so many things for her this year is the fact that I've not gotten to spend her birthday with her in like 6 years because she's been at school and living out of state. And so this is the first year since before she went to college that I've gotten to spend her birthday with her. And the fact that she's home again and here and happy and, you know, living here, I had to do it all. So, but that was that, and that's all the crafting. And just so I don't forget to mention it, it was also our anniversary this past week, and Bill got me this. Isn't it pretty? I'd seen this necklace at a little shop a couple weeks ago when I was shopping for something for my mom's birthday, which was also last week. And I was at this little shop and I found these earrings, and I bought these for myself just because I love them. And if I find earrings that I really like that are not just like cheapy earrings or whatever, I'll buy them for myself because I'm so picky about my earrings. But anyway, these have labradorite on them, and I just love them. They're so cool. But anyway, at that same shop, I saw this necklace, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot buy myself that necklace too. But when I came home, I was telling Bill about it, not because I wanted him to go buy it, but just because I'm like, oh, it was really cool, and it had, gosh, now I'm totally blanking on what this stone is. I don't know. But there's also hematite. Hematite? No. Yeah, I think hematite. God, I'm sorry. My brain's not there. It's got pretty stones in it. But I just thought the wire wrapping. Here, can you see it? Yeah, I think it's so neat. The way it's wrapped and has the different colors. And it does slide on the chain. It's so cool. So he got that for me, which was kind of him. I got him a digital gauge. Calipers, digital calipers, which he was equally excited about. So anyway, so let's move on with crafts, because I have two things that I've started since finishing all this stuff. I haven't worked on any of my other in progress stuff, things already in progress, but I did new cast-ons. And actually on our anniversary, I did cast on a pair of socks, specifically because this is my beach wedding colorway. I designed this colorway after Bill and I got married 4 years ago, because it's the colors of our wedding. My skirt that I knit for myself was this blue, the petticoat underneath was the purple. The flowers I loved my wedding flowers. Had a lot of purples in them. They were so pretty. The silver was for my shoes, and then the sand color was sand because beach, there was a lot of sand. So that is my beach colors, or beach wedding colorway. And I'd had a skein of it sitting waiting for me, and I just never cast on with it. It's Traveler, my sport weight base. And so I thought, you know what, I'm casting on a pair of socks today. And the pattern I'm doing is actually one I wrote, oh my gosh, I think 5 years ago is when I started writing this. There's two different versions of it. There's whimsy and a little less whimsy. This is the little less whimsy version. I wrote this and then I never published it. And at this point, my original two pair of socks that I had made when I was writing the pattern, I've worn a lot. So it's like, well, I can't use those if I ever publish it. So I decided I'd start a new pair. So this is a little less whimsy version. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get around to doing the other version as well, and then maybe I can get the pattern out there. But I started that on our anniversary, which was Thursday. So, and I'll probably take that with me whenever I leave on the motorcycle trip on Wednesday, because that'll be an easy project to carry along. The other thing I started is a sweater, which I hadn't been planning to do until I saw it, because I didn't even know it existed. I saw somebody post a copy of their version of the finished object. I think they had been a test knitter. It's the Summer Shandy Top by Megan Williams from Stockinette Zombies. And I did not print out the first page that has all the pretty pictures on it, but let me find the last page. I think has, yeah. So that's what the top looks like. Really cute. Now I'm sorry, it's getting a little warm in here. It calls for using 2 different colors of yarn. I, however, decided to use the yarn that I purchased during Maryland Sheep and Wool from Cece's Wool. Yeah, and it's her Yarn Baby Superwash Merino. They're bigger skeins. They're 4-ounce skeins, so they have 560 yards each on them. So I have 3 colors. I originally purchased it to do a sew faded, which was my plan, and then I saw this and I'm like, I'm totally using this yarn for this sweater instead. I may never get a sew faded made, because every time I have a plan to do it, something else trumps it and I just don't get it done. Anyway, so this is the first colorway. This is called Berries and Cream. This is the middle color that I was going to use in the fade, called Cherries Jubilee. And then this is the darkest of them, and this is Dusk. This one and this one are fairly close. This one has more of like some indigo kind of blues in it, the darker one. This one doesn't really have those as much. So what I'm going to do to make this work, because I've got enough yarn, I don't have enough yarn if I just use 2 colors, but if I use all 3, I do have plenty of yarn to make this top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate in sections, because there's 2 sections of 16 rows each. So that's what, 32 rows for a repeat. I'm going to do the first 32 row repeat using this darker color, and then when I do the second 32 row repeat, I'll use the medium color, and I'm going to alternate like that. And I think that'll look nice. So let me show you what I have so far. I've actually finished the first repeat. So it's bottom up cast on, and it's worked flat. It's a really interesting construction. You work it flat, and then you separate and you do the top, and then you work over the back, and then you work your way down, and then it's seamed up the sides. I think it's really cool. But here's what I have so far. So the bottom section, and it's all garter, which I think is funny because I've just gotten done knitting all these garter cowls. You would think I was tired of garter by now, but no. Anyway, so yeah, so that's how it goes. This is garter, this garter section in the bottom, and then when you switch where your contrasting color is the wider stripe, this is actually a lace, like a garter lace. Can you see that? So that'll need some blocking in order to actually show up, but it's really interesting, and the lace pattern is just basically one step. And you do it the whole way across the row. It's really fun to do. So I have been enjoying this. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out, but I like it, and I like that it's being worked flat because it's easy to get through a row as opposed to round. I just think it would take longer and I might lose some steam. But anyway, I went down in needles. I didn't swatch, shocker. But it calls for a 6. I went down to US 5 just because I know myself and my gauge. And I did check my gauge yesterday once I got through that bottom section. And my stitch gauge is right on. My row gauge is very off. It's actually far fewer rows than it should be. So I'm going to just have to go by, measurement. as to when I need to do whatever. But I always find it a lot easier to adjust for row gauge issues than stitch gauge issues. There's no shaping built into that sweater. I may end up doing some waist shaping. I'll have to see how it feels coming along on that. We'll see. It's meant to have positive ease though, so right now I think it's okay. We'll see. That's it. That's all I have worked on, which is plenty, because I tell you, those gifts took a while. Other than that, Stash Dash is over. And other than those things that I showed you for, like the crochet things for Emma's birthday, that little pouch, the top, and that cowl, that fingering weight held double cowl. Those are the only other things I finished since the last time. And I know I did finally update my amount in the last video. I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, I'm sure my total was probably not more than 3,500 yards for the whole Stash Dash, which is fine. I wasn't too into it this year. I just was sort of doing it as a way to keep myself motivated, but best laid plans. I mean, I got things done. It was just not the things that I had originally set out to do. So, whatever. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you for 90%. 10%, other than being sick, not much has been going on. Like I said, I'm planning to ride out on Wednesday and meet Bill at the halfway point and finish the ride with him. So hopefully that'll go according to plan. I thought if I got enough stuff done, because I'm trying to get caught up on work right now too, if I got enough stuff done, I could maybe leave tomorrow afternoon instead, but it's actually supposed to rain tomorrow afternoon. And I don't voluntarily ride in the rain if I don't have to. So I'll probably wait till Wednesday. Just a little bit of shop news. I wanted to mention that I am working on finishing up the last of the first half monthly makes free skeins that people earned. I think I have 2 or 3 things left that I meant, like that was my intention to get them done last week before Saturday when I was going to be leaving, but then I got sick and they just didn't happen. So I apologize if you're waiting for one. I promise you it will be coming as soon as I can get it done. I think I'm caught up on all of like my oldest special orders though at this point, so that's good. As far as bare yarn, I was able to get 2 shipments in last week of a good amount of bare yarn. My bounce has been replenished to a healthy quantity for now, at least until I can get more in, so I'm feeling good about that. Again, right now the only yarn I don't have a lot in stock of is DK weight, my bona fide base. That is still fairly low. I am very excited to tell you though, I was able to get pre-wound 20-gram mini skeins of mountain tweed. Up until this point, to do mini skeins of mountain tweed, I've been winding them off myself, which takes a lot of time. And I had talked to my supplier earlier this year and said, hey, is there ever any chance that you guys might do these as minis? Because I love this base and my customers love it. And so I worked with him and we came up with a plan. And I mean, maybe he was talking to other people about this too, I don't know. But they came in finally. So I have lots of mini skeins of mountain tweed and I'm really excited to be able to do this. The only difference is that this mountain tweed is their other version. They have a BFL version, which is what I buy in the full skeins and I like. But they also have another version which is the same content as my DK weight mountain tweed, being 85% superwash merino with the nylon neps, with the 15% nylon neps. So that's what the minis will be. As far as using it alongside the BFL, it should not make any difference. The weight is the same, and you shouldn't notice a big difference in that respect. It'll just be the fiber content will be superwash merino instead of superwash BFL. Everything that's listed in the shop right now as far as the mountain tweed minis, those are all the mountain tweed. the original Mountain Tweed minis. So those are the BFL minis. I will make sure that there's a special note, and I will change the listing to reflect whenever I switch over to the merino version, so you'll know. But otherwise, like I said, when they dye up the same. I've never had a difference, between those two bases in dyeing them. So anyway, that's exciting. And I also brought in some bases that I don't usually carry, just because I can't get some things that I do usually carry. So I thought, you know what, this might be a good time just to try some new things, do some limited edition kind of offerings for you guys, so you can be watching for those in the coming months. Otherwise, thanks again for everybody who shopped my update last weekend, or not this last weekend, but the weekend prior. There's still a good bit of Dyer's Stash kind of things in there, which those are almost all discounted. Some of them that were just, one-off colorways or something, and there's nothing wrong with them, I did not really discount. But, anything that was an oopsie or a prototype or a something that was sort of off with it, those are all discounted. So you could check those out if you want. There's still the rain clouds and tie-dye listings up. The self-striping, there's some in stock. I know Bounce and trying to remember. I think Bounce and Squish might be sold out, but I do have some custom order listings for some of the self-striping bases too, so you can still get those. What else? Yeah, and then the variegateds and everything. There's custom order listings as well as whatever's in stock, so you can still grab those. So check those out if you're interested. Now, obviously, I am going to be away for a few days out of the studio, so any orders that are placed probably after tomorrow, Tuesday, will probably, they might ship out Wednesday morning, but they may not ship out until, like, anything that's placed, an order placed on Wednesday won't ship out until the following Monday when I get back. So just be aware of that. All right, I think that's everything. I'm gonna go try to get this processed, and then I have a whole bunch of work to do. So I am glad I got to talk to you today. I hope you are doing well. I hope you don't have any kind of crazy summer bug going on, because this hasn't been fun. But I will catch you again sometime, probably, it'll be before mid-September, but not much before. I'll say that. All right, that's everything. Take care. See you later.